It's been a crazy 2 days, hasn't it? We've gone through an intense 2 days of outstanding presentations. I hope that everybody's enjoyed it. Um, it's worth pointing out that really we've only focused in these 2 days on neuroinformatics and neuroimaging. There's an awful lot of science associated with highball that we really have only hinted at. Some of the talks ventured into that territory a little, but most of it was just a nuts and bolts presentation of the many, many tools and data types that are available to us within highball. And I think it's worth looking historically a moment. This data set, the big brain, was only published in 2013, after 10 years or so of intense work, both data collection and data analysis. But that was still 7 years ago. And there's been something of a hiatus in our ability to work with this data set simply because we didn't have sufficient technical tools to allow us to explore the data. And now, as I think you can see from this workshop, we have many tools to work with the data, and lots of new ideas are beginning to bubble up. And we expect an awful lot more of this to mature into neuroscientific discovery through highball over the next few years. So I think this is a very exciting time. And I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen from these outstanding presentations. The other comment that I did want to make is to thank Susanna Wenzel and Paul Joanne Toussaint, who've done a tremendous job in organizing this whole workshop under very difficult circumstances. We've all struggled, of course, with Zoom meetings and virtual meetings, and I think that this meeting has gone along very smoothly, largely as a result of the work that they did in setting this whole program up. So I'll just make a few final comments to walk you through, remind you what we've witnessed. First of all, we had up to 90 attendees have been participating in the meeting throughout the 2 days, and here's a graph showing you the registrant attendance during the 2 days, and it's pretty constant over the 2 days as we went through looking at anatomy, IT infrastructure, visualization, volumetric registration, segmentation, and even cortical layer analysis, and finally microdraw that you've just heard from Katya and Roberto. Here's just to remind you of some of the things that you've seen. You saw from Nicola a basic presentation on neuroanatomy that we all benefit from. We heard about CBrain and DataLad from Tristan and from Natasha. And we heard from Morris about the eBrains, and we heard from Timo about multimodal spatial integration across spatial scales. We heard from Louis and his team on Atelier 3D, the three-dimensional visualization tool. And today we had stellar presentations from Casey Pacola, where she talked to us both about the convergence and gradient of cytoarchitectural features across the big brain. And she told us with Boris about the brain warp software suite that is now available for users. We heard from Timo and Sebastian about the volumetric brain anchoring tool. And then we saw more work from Thomas, who talked to us about segmentation. I have to say that there's so much more that Thomas also has been doing in terms of chemoarchitectural mapping, and he did an excellent job just restricting himself to talking about tool use. And I was thinking, as in my earlier comments, about how much more science we could have talked about and didn't, because we stuck to the principles of tool descriptions. Thomas gave us a reprise of how we segment images all the way from basic thresholding through to deep learning segmentation. Conrad told us all about cortical layering, and how we can use that information to understand architectural, cytoarchitectural growth patterns across the brain at the different layer levels. And then we had the microdraw presentation from Katya and Roberto, a very, very smooth two-dimensional interface for us, allow us to very quick segmentation of very large section data, which is extremely helpful in our work. Briefly, there's the schedule, and you all have this, and this will remind you the things that we discussed. You can publish, all the materials are published on the website, and you can stay tuned at these two websites to find out more about the progress of the Highball project. And we do appreciate the feedback that you give us. It'll tell us how you think we're doing and how we can improve the quality of our teaching materials. And finally, as I said, there's a much bigger story for Highball, which is summarized in these 3 boxes, where you can see how we barely talked much about modeling at the level of simulation and systems level characterization of brain models, how one can incorporate genetic information into those brain models. That's all the science that we will get into in another workshop that Highball will be developing in times going forward. And of course, we're building a transatlantic interoperable platform across Europe and North America. And you saw some very salient examples of that work. It's an exciting time. And I think that the Highball represents a real practical demonstration of international cooperation and international data sharing. So on behalf of Katrin Amunds and the rest of our teams, thank you very much, everybody, for taking the time to sit in on this workshop. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.